I've wanted to quit so many times. And in any endeavor I've ever taken on, at a certain point, things usually get so hard that quitting feels like a breath of fresh air. But pushing through that feeling has now led me to have a 7-figure Etsy shop, an Amazon merch business, a YouTube business, and the building blocks for a music business as well. And it's all because of the dip. So first of all, what is the dip? Well, let me just give you this visual. It comes from Seth Godin's book, which is called The Dip. But basically, it's a long period of resistance where you feel that nothing is working with whatever you try. So you try this one strategy and it doesn't pan out and it doesn't work at all. Then you try another strategy and it doesn't work at all. Then you try another strategy and then it doesn't work. That doesn't work at all either. And to this I say, welcome. You're in the dip. Now, when you are here in the dip, this part here, it honestly makes sense to see another opportunity and just think that, okay, I should probably go for this one. Like in the POD space, for instance, once you're doing POD, you might see digital products and think, okay, this one is so much easier to make. You don't have, like, there's no cost of goods. It just makes so much more sense. And it's probably a lot better to do digital products. And you've done POD now for a while, you're not seeing the results that you want. And honestly, it kind of makes sense, right? If you really think about it, because like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So doing something different compared to what you've already done that clearly doesn't work would probably be the way to go, right? The thing to know here is that once you've tested out different strategies here and there, and you tried so many different things with this Etsy POD business, for instance, and nothing's worked, you're not in the same place, you're not doing the exact same things. You're not the same person that you were when you started compared to the person that you are when you've actually learned something, because at that point you're the person who've learned. Because in order to actually progress to the next stage of this whole phase, of this whole business phase, with whichever opportunity that you pursue, you have to know that this is the dip, and this part of the journey just involves everything that doesn't work. Nothing feels like it's going well. And if you actually do like follow the shiny object syndrome and you then pursue another opportunity, like let's say that you do POD and then you focus on digital products. What you then do is that you reset to here. And this is a better depiction of that. So when you first start your journey, there's a really good like feedback loop. You really feel like, okay, this can be doable. And you might feel like, okay, the digital products, it's a much better opportunity to pursue. So you pursue that instead. Then you kind of understand that, okay, this is a lot of work, but I could probably do this. That's probably like the middle ground here. But after a while, you kind of notice that you have to do so much stuff and you get almost no reward for it. And then you're back into the dip again, this long period here. And this can last for a long while. And just as an example to that whole thing, this is my own journey with Etsy and Print on Demand. Here in January 2022, I was doing about like 5K a month and sometimes even less, like 3K a month, like 4K a month in revenue. This is about like 100 orders per month, 125 orders per month, 8 orders per month. And bear in mind, I was actually living off of this money. The net profit from this before taxes is around 20%. So this was not a lot to live off. I lived basically off of like $500 to $1,000 a month. Times were hard. And bear in mind, I was probably in the same place that a lot of the people that like you that are watching are in. I didn't know what I was doing. Like a big thing that I didn't do at this specific point in my journey was focusing on research. Like I remember I had this really weird preconceived conception that I thought that if I sold sweatshirts, for instance, and offer like more than 4 colors on sweatshirt, people would get decision fatigue, which basically will lead to a smaller conversion rate, which was really weird, honestly. But like, for instance, nowadays, you have these Printify insights, for instance, like if I just would have had this and just would see that, okay, like people are buying a lot of colors when it comes to like the Gildan 18000, because the Gildan 18000 is like within the top best-selling item in Printify overall. It's a super popular item, and people are buying like much more colors than just 4. So just knowing that I could just offer these different colors instead of just using the data that's nowadays provided by Printify, it would just make my whole journey so much easier. But again, we don't really know this when we are getting into something, and at this specific point in time there was no such thing available to me. So I just grinded it out. I tried so many different things. I listed 500 listings a month at this point, and it did not pan out at all. It was just like hitting spaghetti at a wall, just seeing what would stick. And small things that stuck for sure. It wasn't even comparable, like the results compared to the actual effort that I did on Etsy. But then again, the whole thing, this whole journey here, this whole year basically, it was a big dip for me. I was just clearly in this big dip here. I had to learn so many different things. Like in order to get to this part where things actually where you actually see the results that you want, you have to learn so many different things, and you can only learn one of those things at a time. And that's where I was in during this whole year. Now, when it actually comes to Etsy, like I did so many different things here. Then I did one specific thing like differently here and what was it, like July, I think it was, in 2022. I joined a small mentorship that Cassie had back in 2022. And that helped me immensely. And because I started reflecting on stuff, I started focusing more on research, not just doing designs that I thought looked good, but just focusing on what actually works on the platform. And then I saw definitely like a big bump here in sales, and it actually kind of worked. And I actually kind of scaled it. It was still tight. Like I was still in the dip. So I was learning at this point, but it was going better. It was like kind of more manageable. I'm still not learning much at all at this point, but I'm learning, I'm getting there. The key thing is that I'm still pursuing POD. I don't switch to another thing. I just still focus on the task at hand and try to get better each and every day. And then I implement different strategies here as I learn more stuff. Then in like 2023, I kind of plateau again here around. So it goes well here in 2022, this whole part here, but I can barely live off of this. It's really like times are hard. So I kind of plateau, and I have to rethink everything again, because at this point I had like a clear foundation of how to do Etsy, but I did not know how to actually scale my Etsy store. And that's actually when I found an interview between Ryan Hogue and Stephen Chen. I'll try to link that up here if I can. But in that video, Stephen actually talks about launching strategies and pricing strategies and stuff like that. And that really blew my mind. I tested a lot of those things out myself. And that made me, like, apart from those things too, I also tested out new designs. But all of those things combined, together with the foundation that I already had from 2022, that led me to just go to exactly where I want. Then at that point, when I tested out those new strategies together with the foundation that I already had with the new designs, I came to this part here. It started to actually work. Again, this is the first time in my life that it actually pans out. Like, I've done so many different things, and like it's gone well to a certain extent. Yeah, different types of businesses that I've done, but nothing has ever like really worked to an extent that I can live off of something, for instance. And this is the first time that it actually does. Like 2022 was a really hard year. I lived off of my Etsy store, and times were really, really tight. And then when I tested out new strategies here in like May, I was earning like 35k in revenue a month, 47k a month in revenue, like 35k a month in revenue. This is like in April, this is in May, and then in June, and then in July, and then in August, and then in September, and then in October 2023. So I was earning really good amount of money, and it's kind of consistent as well. And then in like Q4, I was earning up over 100k in November and over 100k in revenue in December. It just started to work. I was actually hitting this upwards bump here, which made me so excited. And then if we just go to this year, because I don't want to be the guy that just says that, okay, I had success in 2023, for instance, which was basically 2 years ago now. Just last month, I tested out so many different things when it comes to Etsy. And I've tested out ads, and a big thing for me in 2023, for instance, was ads. But just this year, I've done about 50k in revenue. And the key thing that I really want to deliver on here is that where I'm at now, in 2025, I do about 15 minutes of work to 30 minutes of work of maintenance work each day. And even though I might earn less in revenue per month, I now earn about like 35% gross margins when it comes to my Etsy store, because I'm not pushing my stuff with ads. And what I'm experimenting a lot with this year is not using ads that much. But even with that, even with not using ads, I'm still earning about 4k a month in profit a month, and with little to no maintenance work, just 50 minutes to 30 minutes a day. And it's all really because I mastered this part, the dip. This is usually what takes people out, but I wouldn't let this take me out, and it shouldn't take you out either. Now, if you like this video, I think you like this video as well. In that one, I basically go through all the learnings that I've got from posting over 10,000 Etsy listings. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one.